each other for a second.
Everyone loves a lull.
Everyone loves. Oh, and I think, yeah, okay, nice. We are live. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Beyond Effects studio. Excuse me. I should have done some vocal warm ups. Portfolio review live stream, episode 2 today. Today, we're going to be going over 5 portfolios that were submitted by you, the community. And before we get into that, though, I'm JesV, the content producer at Beyond Effects, and I'm going to introduce our other 3 hosts today. If you could give us your name, title, and how long you've been doing VFX, basically, and I'll throw it to you. Nick?
Sounds good. Hey, everybody. I'm Nick McElmury. I'm a VFX director here at Beyond Effects. I've been doing visual effects in some capacity for a long time, but in real time in games specifically for about 10 years. So been a while. Hence all the gray in my beard. Here I am, old man McElmury. So I'll toss it over to Tess.
Hey, I'm Tess Parks. I have been in the industry for about 4 years. I'm a senior artist here at Beyond Effects. And prior to that, I was doing other art and illustration. So it's been a while since I've been in here. But yeah, over to Joan.
Hello, I'm Joan. I'm a senior VFX artist at Beyond FX, and I've been doing VFX for 10 years now. Back to you, Jess.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And then, yeah, before we get started, Nick, I wanted to ask a question for those of you who weren't here for episode 1 when we did this a few months ago. A big part of our culture of mentorship and knowledge sharing here at Beyond Effects is our internal art reviews. And so I was wondering, can you give everyone sort of like a rundown on what that is and how we use that to grow our team's skill sets and, you know, how we're going to be implementing those philosophies, if you will, here today?
Sure. Yeah, so we do art reviews a couple times a week. It's a lot of things to us. It's important because it gives all of us in the studio a chance to all come together and talk a little shop and be VFX artists together. We're all constantly off working on different projects, so it's a good time to kind of come together and, I don't know, build some team camaraderie and community in the studio. But more importantly, it's a chance for us to be able to look at each other's work and help each other grow. Our studio works on a bunch of different projects. Those projects all have crazy different art styles, from like hyper illustrative to like hyper realistic and pretty much everywhere in between. So people on our team have lots of really great skill sets, and other people on our team don't have much of those skill sets. For instance, Tess is an incredible illustrative VFX. I am awful at that. But a lot of times I get faced with a challenge where, like, oh, I actually maybe need to use a little bit of drawing skills. Like, Tess, how do I do that? And, you know, she'll direct me and help me get my effect from start to finish if I wind up in that situation. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just on top of a way of us doing quality control and stuff like that. It's I found that, like, I've just grown a lot from being in those reviews, being exposed to all the different types of work that people are doing and seeing their different pipelines that they use to achieve their work, different tools that people are using that I've maybe never used or been exposed to before that I can then use in my workflow, and know I can lean on them for a helping hand if I need to when I'm diving in. Yeah, it's super, super great. I think real-time VFX especially is such an evolving field, like constantly. Tools are always changing, engines are always upgrading, hardware is getting better and changing and all that stuff, so there's always something new to learn, and that's a good space for us to do that all together.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. And also, we have some people in our chat already who I know are a part of the portfolio reviews today. So hello to our chat, and you know, feel free to ask questions in chat, or, you know, follow along, give your comments, things like that. But let's get into our first candidate here. Our first candidate is Danny. Producer Julian is actually setting up the screen right now. A little bit about Danny. Danny is currently working as a VFX artist where they are mostly creating stylized effects. For now, they do all of their work in Unity, and there's someone who loves to learn and is always striving to improve. And he says, I'm sure some of your feedback will help me take it to the next step. And one of my dreams is to work on a major game that makes a big impact on the industry, and is a big fan of Riot games. So thank you for that, Danny. We'll get started in our first effect. I'll let you all take it away.
Cool. I'll hit play.
Sweet.
Actually, let's turn off autoplay.
Yeah.
That's the way I keep skipping.
Oh, and I guess we'll let everyone know you guys are going to watch the full effect first and then go back and talk about it. Is that the order of operations here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
I really like this effect. Like, this one has a really nice feel to it. It's really, really nicely rendered. Something about this beat right here feels super, super nice and satisfying to me. These little like water strips kind of like dancing their way and curling their way up. I think the thing that jumped out to me, at least when I first watched this, was this kind of, there's all this beautiful detail and motion and everything like that, and then we get kind of a relatively simple fade on this bottom piece. It just kind of like disappears. And I thought it would be cool if there was a way to sort of maybe either like erode the thing out, you know, maybe the kind of strips of this could get kind of chewed away, or somehow also get tied into the effect that gets pulled up into the ball, just so we're not like literally going from opacity 1 to opacity 0 over 30 frames with kind of like nothing else.
Yeah, I think the timing is kind of an issue here, where like everything has its own almost like isolated beat. Like this kind of whole thing happens, and then this kind of whole thing happens, and then we get to the explosion or the burst, I guess, and that's also kind of its own beat. And I think if you kind of brought the timings of these together, so maybe this goes and then it spins really fast and splashes out while this is forming, and then this has like a snappier beat to the actual finale, and then let that be the point where you linger. I think that would be a lot more successful.
Yeah, in terms of timing, like you guys said, I think the best thing to do is not trying to be static. As much as possible, try to, for example, for this rotation here, go faster and faster. And then for the ball that appear here, what you can do is try to have some motion, because right now it stay like a circle from the beginning to the end. What you can do is trying to animate the ball to like kind of like stretch, grow sometime, change like everything to be kind of like moving and not having this kind of static feeling for like this mesh or this mesh or this one. And as for like the end, here when you have the explosion, this mesh here is growing, and it will stop growing right here, and you can feel that. I think what you can do is that you keep it growing, but then don't stop it right away. Like put it faster right here, and then you put it back like this, like shrinking. So like it's growing, expanding, and shrinking, instead of having something like kind of like a wall for the animation.
Yeah, Riot really likes they always love to do a timing curve. It's like this, and then like kind of really eases out.
Yeah.
So I think that'll really help a lot.
Yeah, and in terms of art direction too, I feel like this is water, but I'm not sure. Like maybe this is water we mix with like a ghostly effect or something. If it's water though, I think using distortion is alright, but most of the time this kind of distortion will be seen to every single effect that you make. I'm saying that because I've seen junior or like intermediate artists doing that a lot, and you will always see like kind of like the same kind of shape, and it's kind of like eroding like the main texture you want to apply on that. So maybe you can just draw like a noise that is I don't know, a wave or something, and then just apply that instead of using like a lot of like distortion inside your textures.
I think that's something that's easy to, like a trap that's easy to fall into. It's almost like an over reliance on UV distortion to get like natural breakup and stuff like that. It's tempting because it's usually just a slider in your material or something like that. But it's
Yeah, I also think this is kind of a nitpick, but I can really see the tessellation of your mesh on these. It's not a huge deal, but I think like especially in like a portfolio piece, I think you could up it a little bit to really show it off rather than like be as considerate about really tight performance or something.
Mm-hmm.
on the subject of timing that Joan and Tess were mentioning earlier too. I feel like there's something a lot more interesting you could do with this entire element. It sits on screen for 2 or 3 seconds, maybe 4. And it's nice, it looks nice, it's rendered really nice, but it literally just sits there and spins and spins and spins. You could ramp up the spinning, like Joan mentioned. You could also play with scale and make it go bigger and smaller. Maybe it starts big and then sucks in and then does the little wisps or something like that. But it's just kind of ambiently rotating right now, and it definitely feels like a disconnect from the rest of the kind of snappy beats that you have when the like water ball forms.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we want to move on to the next piece?
Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice use of flash frames, but I think the timing for the flash frame here is a bit. I think here, for example, it's good, but the one that is before right here doesn't kind of like sell the impact. But I think it's very nice to use flash frame here. I'm actually working on some review for flash frame effects, so I'm like I'm used to that now. But overall, it's satisfying to watch.
Yeah. I think what initially jumped out to me is the black, I don't know, eclipse sphere feels just very linear. Like it goes from here to here and then stops and then just sits there. And I realized that like maybe that's intentional, but I think this right here always feels really unnatural. Like it just feels like something hitting a brick wall. So even just giving this just a hair of ease, even like if it's just a pixel over a few frames or something like that, can really help things stop feeling sort of like dead in their tracks. Big fan of, I think this was mentioned in the previous video too, of just like always keeping things moving, even if it's super, super subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have a successful kind of sequence here. I think the character helps a lot. It seems like it helps you off of your overall timing and beats compared to the last piece. But I agree with Joan. It feels like the flash frame here is a little less successful. And here
it's okay-ish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it lasts too long. Like you really want it to just be one frame.
Yeah.
So I think like this is a good frame because it's showing everything versus like this isn't showing really anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a good idea to, when you do a flash frame, like try to replicate what you see behind. Because, for example, if we go right here, we just see these lines, but we don't see anything from behind. Like, for example, the character can be in the flash frame too, or like the environment. This shape here, everything, you turn everything black basically, but you still have the element of your environment.
Yeah.
and make sure that the flash frame serve the impact. So here, for example, the impact arrived right now. I think you can like move it from like 2 seconds or something. Same for here. You have flash frame, but then the impact is here, right now, right here.
Yeah. I think you could still have in this part of the effect, you still have this kind of like hazy like noise behind the moon, and I'm missing it here. Like there's this second where it's just a flat circle with no like anything going on. So giving it some sort of effect, like maybe the distortion gets bigger or something, or like a crack starts to form, or something to kind of like help get us ready for this part of the effect. So it's not quite such a flat graphic element.
I think there's something about the sorry, these effects that are kind of scrolling out from the exterior as well. They feel very. I can see their layer. There's like a darker red element in the background and like a lighter red element in the foreground. And it might just be that they're scrolling at different speeds, or like one has more of like a stretch on the UVs than the other, but they feel definitely like two separate elements rolling over the top of each other, as opposed to like one element that has some nice highlights and some nice shadows. And it might just be as simple as not scaling these ones as extreme as you are and keeping them more in line with kind of the scale of these nice red back elements you have right here. I think the fact that they go off screen too, I don't know, I kind of lose some dimensionality. It'd be kind of cool if they just went along for the ride with like the silhouette of like these red ones.
Yeah.
That's probably more of a presentation thing, but
yeah, even for the color, maybe because it comes from the door that is super bright, try to have like a brightness here, and then everything can fade it into red after.
Yeah, I also think a little bit of noise or smoke or something rolling to like sell the ground a little bit more would be nice. Yeah. Keep it rolling.
Yeah.
let's do it.
Cool.
As you guys switch over, I'm going to ask a quick question from our chat.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it on screen for our viewers as well. But the question, I think it's more of a general question, but the question is, how often do you use flip books in Unreal Engine 5?
My response is, what do they mean by flip books? Because that can mean hand drawn flip books. That can mean an exported sprite sheet from a simulation as a flip book, or that could mean several other things. But the answer is generally, I feel like, pretty often, regardless of kind of the form that it ends up. But it really depends on the project too.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how much memory you can load, depends on the hardware that you're shipping on, all that stuff. Yeah, and to Tess's point, the term flipbook can mean a lot of things, like sequential flipbook, where we're sort of playing back an animation frame by frame. A lot of times we use flipbooks that aren't meant to be played back frame by frame. It's like a sprite sheet of 4 different shapes, and then I want my particle to pick one of these random shapes or something like that, and not necessarily play them in sequence. But I guess to answer your question, in my experience, all the time. But that is encompassing all those different types of flipbooks, if that makes sense.
Good call out. Thank you.
Cool.
And if we get a clarification on what they're specifically asking, I'll flag it for you guys.
Sweet. On this, I want to immediately call out, I think your use of color here is a lot more successful. There's this nice like orange to red, where your previous pieces have more of like a white core, and that kind of kills the color space. This is a much better use of color overall.
Yeah, even shapes, like the shapes on the ground are good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The slash looks satisfying. The orange to red is also very good.
One thing I see a lot with slashes is a really big disconnect from the effects to, I guess, sort of like the leading edge of the X. And I realize a lot of times this is a hitbox thing. Like, you might have a designer who made an animation of a little miniature squirrel with an axe swinging like this, and it's got the hitbox the size of a house, and you kind of have to like fake it. But I think trying to keep at least like the leading edge of these swipes in line with sort of like the I don't know, the directionality, the sort of forward vector, I guess, of the actual weapon that it's attached to can really help make it feel more attached, even if it's, detached to the extreme, like something like this.
For the impact, I think the sparkles are like a little bit late. We have the impact on the ground here, and then they kind of arrive like frame 3 instead of coming right here right now. I think 1 second earlier could be better. And for the rocks, so I'm seeing the rocks flying around and then they pop out. I think the best thing to do here, right here, it's like fragrant. What you can do is like just scale them to 0. It will be more satisfying.
Yeah, you could either scale them to 0 or have them have physics and that be part of the effect as well, depending on kind of like what you want your portfolio range to be.
Yeah, I've kind of found that like the way that you get rid of your particles kind of varies based on like what type of project it is. And at least in my experience, I found that like on more stylized work and projects like this, scaling them to 0 usually feels better. Whereas on more realistic projects and you need to get rid of them, like fading them out feels better. It's kind of a judgment call, but
Yeah.
getting rid of them gracefully, I think is important no matter what type of project you're in.
Yeah, they can even fall on the ground and then stay a little bit and then go inside the ground or something.
Yeah. I also think on the rocks, when they spawn, having some randomized initial rotation will really help. Everything kind of stays in place and then just kind of pops out. So having these rocks, spin and tumble and all that will really help sell kind of like the impact.
This is a little nitpicky here too, but might be something worth exploring. I'm not exactly sure if you're using meshes or particles or what, but having the rocks reacting to the light when they're close to the core of like the explosion, like it looks like there's a ton of light being emitted right here, and then we have these kind of like grayish black rocks. Be a really nice kind of polish touch to get those reacting somehow to the sort of light source of the impact on the ground. So these ones could pick up some like red highlights on their edges, or just so we're not left with really nice reds and oranges and whites, and then we have these kind of gray blocks. They just kind of composite differently and stand out a little bit.
Really quick before you continue, we wanted to apologize. The screen went blank for a second there, so we missed a few of the visuals from your effects. But I think we're back up and running, so
Cool.
Sorry that happened, everyone.
There's one thing you can do also. I like these shapes. I think they're like great and they sell the effect. But maybe you can use also a smooth step. So basically the smooth step will allow you to have like super hard edge or like just fading the edge, like a gradient. And you will have more control over that, and also it will avoid you to have like some pixels, because if it's super sharp like this, sometimes you can see like pixels or like artifacts of white stuff around the edges.
Yeah, overall, this is a great
This is
effect.
great, yeah.
So, yeah. Should keep moving.
Yeah.
I think there's a ton you could do with this one to really make it feel a lot more interesting and dynamic and impactful. There's so many different like shapes, and it looks like you've already got them separated out into like a few separate elements. And when I watch this, every time I've watched it, when the beam comes down and kind of like kicks off this AoE or whatever it's supposed to do, I always want to see these shapes kind of like bounce on each other or like stretch somehow or scale out or move or something like that. I think you have a really, really big opportunity to do something really cool with those.
Yeah. I think the decal here could serve too. Like for example, when the flash is emitting on the ground, this shape here is super small compared to everything that you have. Maybe scale it from to here, right here, and use the decal. Use what you have right here. Turn it black when you have the impact, and let it live on the ground instead of fading the light here.
Yeah, I think to Nick's point, doing some more scaling with the shapes and things like that, because you're doing it here, but like it's so thin and translucent that it's really hard to pick up, other than like the state change from here to here when it's playing. And I think what'll really help you sell that is it's kind of an animation principle, but like if you're gonna grow something, grow it bigger first for like a frame or two, and then like shrink it, and that'll really feel like it's like boom, you know.
Yeah.
And then I think kind of to Joan's point, a little bit more love in the decal here, and kind of almost like I feel like this has a good opportunity for like a really cool decal with some lingering smoke and particles or something. Like everything kind of just disappears at the same time, and I really wish there was more lingering to kind of like rest on with this because of how fast and snappy it is.
Yeah, lingering effects are super important when you do an effect.
Be curious too if there was a you have these kind of like little sparkle notes that get emitted here, and I'm guessing the motivation for those is like the thing strikes and like these maybe come off the shapes as it gets hit. But I do wonder if there's room to add almost sort of like some like vertical rays just at the moment of impact for a couple of frames that can actually help motivate those little drifting sparkles a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then you can leave those living, drift off in the wind or something like that as I don't know, a favorite technique of mine, just to leave things hanging out a little bit longer and still feel dynamic.
Yeah, I always like it with these kind of like sigil magic rune-y effects to, it's almost like a motion blur, right? Where like everything has these like different levels of pillars of light that kind of come off of each individual shape. I think that's always a really cool thing to add. So would help give this some like dimension as well.
Yeah, and like Tess said at the beginning, maybe the beam here could also grow and reach this area over here and then shrink back at the end during the impact. Instead of staying static for like right here and then you have the impact. You can try always to play with the scale. Never stay static.
Yeah, and kind of to harp on what I said for your last piece, like there's a lot of white in this, in your hues. The little rainbow here is really nice, and I think that like helps solidify it. But I do think, especially if you're aiming for like Riot, go look at Lux. Go look how her stuff is authored. They have a much like broader hue range, and they also like to kind of include like a surprise color a lot of time. That it almost feels random, but it obviously has some thought to it. But Riot really loves their color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think overall these effects, all of the effects here are like really good. They just need a bit more of like impactfulness, I would say, and then satisfaction. But overall, it's almost there.
Yeah, it feels like polished stuff remains.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an interesting nitpick / I'm not sure what's happening here. The particles in the beam, they tend to favor the right side of the beam in this one, and then on the second play, they're entirely on the right side. So I'm not sure what's happening there in your systems, but something to keep an eye on.
Good eye, Tess.
Thanks.
Well, Jess, should we move to the next one?
Absolutely. If you guys are ready to go, Julian is going to set that up while we're doing that. And I'll talk about our next candidate. Next up, we have Lucas. Lucas is Nordic Fire in our chat. I saw them saying hello a little earlier. So, hello, Lucas. Lucas says about me, I'm a recent grad and junior VFX artist. Right now, I'm working on a short term contract where I'm looking to do large scale Houdini sims, trying to optimize them and bring them into Unreal. I'm open to film and game VFX, but mainly want to get into games, focusing on realistic to semi real VFX of all sorts. Characters, environments, whatever needs VFX. At the moment, my tool of choice are Houdini, Unreal, Embergen, and Substance Designer, and an animation dream project would be something akin to Diablo Cinematics. And the feedback Lucas is looking for, they are open to all feedback. Let them know your thoughts, and their goal is to get their work in a hireable state by July. Welcome, Lucas.
Okay.
Hello.
Also, want to say thanks to Danny for the work. It was really cool to see.
Absolutely, yes. I forgot to say thank you to Danny as well. Thank you, Tess.
Yeah, at first glance, I think this is a good start for campfire, bonfire, fire effects. We are always watching out for what we call rice particles here at the studio. I would really try to stay away from super velocity stretched with probably a circle dot texture on them for your embers or sparks, just because it's not very realistic and they honestly never really feel that great. Relying on motion blur is a good option, but I would really try to steer away from these hyper elongated shapes. Of course, it's still okay to have some stretch and everything like that, but I would tone it down by at least like half, if not more, for those.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they can work if it's a scale by velocity situation, but you need that like rice particle to shrink really quickly. Because that basically is acting as motion blur, right? So
I think presentation-wise too, I would maybe put this in just like a darker environment, or maybe even just like swapping out the big gray ground plane with something like really, really, really dark gray, just so we could see like the light, see the effect as it would be intended. Because like I based on the lighting in here, this looks like it's being lit by the fire and not by like a sunlight. So I would want to see the rest of the environment around it kind of getting the same treatment, even if it's not like a fully fleshed out, modeled, textured campground or something like that. I think that would actually really help just like the overall presentation of it. So it'd be a little easier to focus on the effects and how they believably sit in the environment they're intended to be in.
yeah. I think a cool addition here would be an occasional snap of fire. You know, when like a stick breaks or something, and you get that like big hit of just like of sparks and embers. I always love that in fires, and that can really help keep this piece interesting to look at, because it's not just a constantly emitting thing. There's this little extra surprise that happens every so often, and that can really help sell it too.
Yeah, maybe also bring some secondary elements. For example, the wood that you have here doesn't have any shaders on top. What you can do is like trying to add something that is like kind of moving. Even maybe that can just be the emissive that is reacting to the flames. So try to have a secondary shader here that does something. And also try to avoid when you have it happen on every game I see, even like the big AAA, but when you're like reaching the top here, we can see the quad here. So try to avoid that by just fading it. You have something called camera fade distance, or like I think it's called like this, right?
Yes.
So yeah, try to hide stuff like that, and to have a secondary element when you are like reaching this camera transition. What you can do is having you can have a mesh like that, and then maybe add some flames on like a spreadsheet or something.
That's actually a super great trick. Not even for just when you're looking over the top of it, but just for getting some flames kind of pulling in. Fuel getting like pulled into the fire. It kind of helps ground fire effects a little bit more when they're not just like straight up billboards stuck straight into things. Fire has a tendency to kind of like go out like that. So I always call them skirts. That's just what we've always called them on the projects that I work on. And those are a super, super good trick to help with that.
Yeah, there is something you can do to like, instead of having a quad where you have your fire inside with like multiple different pictures, what you can do is you have your fire, and then you can block the value on the bottom here to be not moving at all, and then this on top is camera facing. So basically when you will turn the camera around, you will kind of have like something that it's super hard to draw, but something that kind of looks like this, where the bottom part is not moving, but the top part is following your eyes, basically. And by doing that, even when you reach this kind of distance, your fire is always facing you. I'm trying to find a reference for that, but I cannot find it right now. Oh yeah, I got it. Can I send links?
Sorry. If you want, you can. If you want to send it to me, I can drop it in the Twitch chat.
Okay.
If you want to just Slack it to me.
Yeah.
Also, Luke is very excited. Says thank you for these are awesome ideas. And is
Yes.
Very, very pumped.
One last thing I wanted to touch on for log fireplaces, campfires, stuff like that. I find it's always helpful to add the small little flames that are kind of just idling there. Like we have the one big core flame in the middle, and that's great. But why am I using the laser pointer? Okay, big flame there. But also having some sort of almost like static particles that could just infinitely live, that kind of reach up on the sides. I think helps things feel a little more realistic. If you look at like logs on fire, there's always those few pieces that are curling out from underneath it that just constantly burn, and not just like giant flame, but like those little ones can really just add that extra 10%. That helps it feel a lot better.
Yeah. I do also notice there's a little bit of smoke happening. It is extremely translucent to the point where like I am only now really noticing it as part of the effect. And I think part of it is the gray background isn't helping you either. So maybe reduce the translucency of that a little bit. And then maybe like a touch of heat distortion can always help too. You have to be like, I don't know, subtle with those, because it can go, I feel like it can go really stylized really quickly if you add too much distortion too. So.
Next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and while you guys are looking at the next one, I just want to give a shout out to Maceco FX in our chat, adding their own feedback. We've been popping it up on the screen. I don't recognize that name, but thank you so much for adding your own input. It's very valuable.
I believe they may be from Sparks, because they initially chatted, said hello Sparks team. So
Hello Sparks team.
I
Hi.
suspect they may be from our sister studio, Sparks.
Nice. And hi Autumn with Beyond Effects. Okay, I'll let you guys continue.
This is cool. This reminds me of the statues from Returnal.
You guys will know more than me on destruction.
I'm not. I'm guessing this is Chaos Geometry Collections. Maybe if they're in the chat, they can thumbs up or thumbs down. But it looks like it. Yeah. Overall, it's good. Things to really watch out for is stuff like this, where we get floating chunks. This actually looks like it might be a part of this arm. So be pretty deliberate with how you fracture your meshes when you're doing destruction like this, just to make sure you don't have any unnatural looking shapes. It's easy to like slap the Voronoi destruction or Voronoi fracture on there, crank up the noise, hit fracture, and then just like hope for the best. Uh, but I found that while that is easy, it usually doesn't yield the best, most realistic results. Just because you do wind up with artifacts like that from time to time, just because it's procedural, it's unpredictable. You hit fracture, and if you don't like inspect every little piece, things can kind of get away from you. So.
Yeah, there's definitely a few instances of kind of orphaned destruction parts.
I would check on your. I'm not sure what the material of this thing is supposed to be either, but it's really bouncy in some instances. Like this hand goes nuts when it hits the ground. Um, and that can just be a mask setting or maybe physical material where you can adjust the mask. You can even apply a little bit of damping. I actually find using the damping on the geometry collection component, like if you scroll down to like the physics part in the details panel, giving things just a little bit of damping, both linear and angular, can help them feel a little more weighty. It defaults to like 0 and like 0.01, and I don't go crazy with them, but like even setting them to like 0.1 and like 0.1 can usually help a lot. It can also help a lot with just like stability with these things if there's a lot of fragments kind of bouncing around in real time. It'll just like it'll slow them down a little, but not enough to make them feel like not believable, depending on the scale of your object. So I'd definitely play around with the damping values a little bit as well.
The little burst at the end is a little bit late timing wise. This little smoke puff happens after everything's basically already settled. Where you would really want that like here, and then that's like still settling in.
I will just talk in terms of presentation. It feels that at the beginning you want to also show this kind of effects on the TV. Try to see what the subject is really really is here. Is it? Do you want to show everything, or do you just want to show this? And if you want to show the character over here, I think what you can do is just having a static camera or like something that moves around instead of doing it yourself by hand. It will sell the effect a bit more, I guess. Because here I can see you going on the right and then going on the left, maybe to show everything else around, but try to refocus on the subject.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I think one thing that might be worth looking into for like a real-time destruction like this, I feel like this is sort of like this almost feels sort of like half of an art piece and half of a tech demo. And I think I would maybe lean more into this being art focused as opposed to tech focused. And by that, I mean not just using a debug line trace to show the impacts, like is it a gun, is it whatever, and that'll give you the opportunity to actually like kick up effects from an impact of some sort, which I think can really help sell just this falling apart more. I think this type of stuff is great when you're like prototyping, getting stuff to work, making sure the functionality is all there. But I think if you want to have this in your portfolio, I would probably motivate these with something, some sort of visual element, instead of, you know, like I said, a line trace or something like that, a debug thing.
Lucas has a question for you guys from the chat that I'm going to put on screen for the rest of the viewers. Lucas says, So one question I have is, how do you all control the Niagara systems for chaos? I used a mix of chaos data interfaces, blueprints, and NDCs. Is there a preferred way?
I think it depends on your project. I believe the way forward is probably going to be Niagara data channels. That's what I use. They take a little more time to set up within the kind of boilerplate Niagara data interface module setup that's been around for a while. But I typically use the data channel workflow just because it's a little more performant. But you can really use anything you want. That's just what I prefer to use. So.
I feel like chances are most projects you'll join are going to tell you what to use.
That's probably fair. Yep.
Like it's probably dictated for you. Okay, next one.
Yeah.
I see grenade. Nice.
Cool. Should clamp the out here.
Yeah.
Where is it? I'll say right
Beat me
there.
to it.
I think this is the start of a really nice grenade. I just think it needs like a little bit of polish kind of in all the elements. The thing that stands out to me the most is definitely the debris right now, just at a first glance. It explodes out and then we wind up with stuff falling straight down all over the place, which almost feels like it has like a crazy amount of damping and then it just settles.
And it's almost like, I guess it's probably two systems. Looking at it more, 'cause yeah, there's kind of the larger rocks that land and then slide, and then there are the smaller rocks here that land and then are very bouncy. But yeah, I would definitely like. Well, not only are they bouncy, they bounce basically straight up from their kind of impact point. They're bouncing straight up where you really want, from your source. I'm just gonna do it from like a side view. You really want like that second bounce to be motivated kind of by the initial vector of wherever the debris is going.
I think in terms of textures, I would like put the occlusion maybe higher in order to have some shadows inside the smoke, and with that applying the emissive on top, because when you have the emissive here, the only thing that is coming out and that looks good is this part with a bit of what you have around, because you can kind of like feel the volume of the smoke, but then it goes out super quickly, and then when you reach this point here, the smoke is just a ball of like clean texture. You don't see any shadows inside or something like that. Maybe you can increase the occlusion and then try to see if you can merge the emissive with the occlusion. Here everything looks good here because you can clearly see everything from the shapes.
I think one thing you did really successfully is a blast shockwave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's distortion in there, but it's not like overpowering distortion. Like it feels really natural, which I think is actually a tough thing to kind of find that balance. But I think you did a really, really good job on that. One thing I always like to see with grenades like this, which I think helps break up their silhouette and make it feel a little more realistic, is sort of like those smoky spikes that you get. I realize this is a very cartoony, crappily drawn spike, but just a few of those every time it like explodes or something like that with random orientations can really, I don't know, sort of like break up the silhouette from the mushroom cloud look.
Yeah, it because like you almost want to imply not only the motion of the explosion, but some of these rocks being flung from, they're all, let me use something a little more visible, they're all in here, and then they're being flung out from the smoke, right? So like the smoke is going to get ripped and torn. So having that, plus even having some like slight trails of kind of debris and dust from some of your rocks can also help sell this. I also wanted to touch on kind of what Joan was getting at on the last piece, where you have there's a lot of elements where like you have your grenade, and your grenade is obviously your selling point, but you've chosen to add physics and like impact to like some of the like garbage bags and like cardboard boxes and things like that, and I think that's cool to do. But there's clearly not as much kind of time and effort spent in terms of getting them right for like physics wise. Like they're very heavy. Cardboard would I think would go flying from a grenade impact. So if you're gonna include stuff like that, I think really make sure you give it kind of the proper time and attention to detail that you're giving to your kind of star effect here.
One other thing I like to see with explosions and grenades is sort of less overall conical debris and more sort of like pseudo-random chunks of debris spurting out. And I'll try to illustrate that here in a way that makes sense. But you might get a lot of chunks going out in a direction like this. So almost like the grenade might have been resting against a rock or something like that, and it pushed the force in a particular direction. And that can be random. And then have a lesser amount of smaller ones on the periphery. It just helps things feel a little more natural and realistic and less random range in a code, if that makes sense. You can sort of weight the directions of your particles, so more go this way and less go out this way, sort of radially. Just a nice way to kind of break those things up. And then watch out for this type of stuff here, which is maybe more aggressive on the depth fade, or add some depth biasing or something like that, so we don't see the particle linearly clipping into the ground, even if it's fading. It can destroy the illusion pretty quick. I think presentation-wise too, I'd like to see this effect in a few different lighting scenarios, just to see like what your materials and your textures are really doing under the hood. Like this is a dynamically lit material that you're using, putting it under harsh sunlight, putting it, under like a spotlight, evening time, dusk, twilight, that kind of stuff. I think that'll at least tell potential employers like, hey, he knows his materials, he understands lighting when it comes to like realistic effects. Because I think in my opinion, like if you're doing realistic effects, like the compositing and how they react to lighting in the game is arguably more important than like the beautifulness and crispness of your textures. Because when things stick out in realistic games, they really, really stick out.
Right.
Yeah.
And quick final note on this, I think a ground impact of some kind would do some good. I feel like it's kind of missing that element, and would also help this kind of like lingering outro beat to where there's like some resolution to whatever happened. Like there's this little bit of like fog, but if there's like a nice ground crack that's impacting the environment to show like, hey, this grenade just went off, I think that'd be really cool. Hop to the next one?
Yeah.
Cool.
Give you guys like a gentle, like maybe like 5 minutes on this one.
Okay.
Like around noon, if we move to the next portfolio, we're doing good on time.
Sounds good.
Okay, I will jump on this one at the beginning. So here, when you have the impact, So first you have the impact here, but the gun is like firing just after, right now. So I don't know if in real life it's like this, but it feels like the impact is delayed or something. And then the smoke lingering here kind of looks like this instead of looking like that. Maybe because you need a better like fading gradient or something, but you kind of see the straight line over here. Maybe you can fade that a little bit.
I think the smoke from the barrel feels just maybe a little too like wide, like the kind of lingering stuff there. The barrel of the gun looks like tiny.
Yeah.
And yes, smoke will kind of go out like that, but I feel like it's aggressively going out like that. So you could probably be a lot more subtle with it. Those elements are always problematic too when you implement them in games, because now you have to figure out how that thing moves with the gun without it looking like it's a particle stamped to the muzzle of the gun. Yeah, just a heads up.
Yeah, and I think this smoke dispersal is really like like the sides go like to here. Like it's really aggressively large for kind of what it is, especially on like on the side view. You know, it's like that's a very smoky gun to emit that much smoke. So it would really offer that a little bit more.
One thing we're thinking about for effects like this is a lot of times effects are authored based on the view that they're going to be seen, especially in like first-person shooters. You'll have a specific effect type for when you're in first-person view that's authored to look good in that view, and then a separate effect attached to weapons for NPCs or other players that are running around that you would see from a third-person view. So in this case, it might be worth building a 1P and a 3P version of this, just to show the intent. Because yeah, I mean, I'm guessing what's happening is we have these giant, probably camera-facing sprites over here, making these kind of big wings, and then as soon as we turn the camera in third-person view, now the entire gun is covered in smoke. That's just my educated guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the muzzle flash is also missing. We have something tiny here, but I feel like if it's a sniper, it should be bigger than that. What you can do for that, let's say you have a shape like this. You can, if it's too big, you can actually use fade distance to make it disappear when you're here. If you don't want to see it at all, being like this, because you will kind of see like something like a cross. If you had an effect like that, you can fade it by using the distance, and then that means when you will turn around the gun, you will only see the effect when you are on the side, not on front.
Yeah. I'm gonna echo kind of what Nick was saying, where a lot of first-person games will do just completely different authored effects for what it looks like in first person versus like third person, especially if it's like multiplayer or something. Like obviously you're going for a realistic portfolio, but you know, if suddenly this game wanted to do like anime skins and had some like really graphic stuff that, you know, really broke reality for the game, it might look like that in first person, but then it might be like reduced to just kind of a normal shot for like competitive reasons or something like that. So it can really vary from project to project.
Cool. Look at that, Julian. I think we're right at noon.
We did it.
Well
Nice.
done.
Yeah. Y'all are killing it. Yeah, so we're gonna move to our next candidate. Thank you so much, Lucas, and thanks so much for hanging out with us in chat. Love the enthusiasm. I'm excited. You're excited. But oh, and also some people have been asking about the software that we're using for these reviews. This is Clash Studio, Klash. There's many features, as you can see, in Clash, like drawing, time stamping. I didn't know you could clamp the time in there like how you just did, Nick. That was really cool. And if you're just joining us and missed the beginning of this live stream, we will be putting this up on our YouTube channel, so do not worry. We will have this all ready for you later on in the week. But our next candidate is Miguel, aka Michael. Michael is mid-level. They specialize in stylized tools and software they use is Unity, Unreal, Photoshop, Clip Studio Paint, Substance Designer, Embergen, and Blender. And a dream game for them would be StarCraft 3, they said. And the feedback they're looking for is focus mainly on polishing. Their main challenge is ensuring all individual effects blend harmoniously, making it difficult to distinguish where one begins and the next ends.
That's satisfying.
Yeah, this one feels really good.
Yeah.
Can we slow it down a little bit? Check. Like that.
Ooh, another good find in Clash. Playback speed.
I think first couple things that stick out to me during like when the blast is ending, this shape, like this like kind of impacty shape you've got rolling across, pops out here like pretty hard, and then it also pops out here very hard. So giving those a little bit more lifetime to dissipate will really help.
I'd like to see some more continuation of like just the overall force of the effect through the ending. It's implying like a ton of energy all blasting in this direction with this kind of conical shape right here. And then the payoff is everything just kind of like falls apart. I really like to see if there's a way you could continue that motion through the rest of this. Maybe when the pieces blow apart, they can just have a little bit of bias backwards or outwards like this. So they kind of fall in the direction they've been hit.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, the importance of lingering effect too. Like you can also add shapes like that here, that kind of like dissipate slower after the impact to sell the effect. And I don't know also about like the fact that it's super rounded like this. I think if you have an impact like that, it should be closer to the actual mesh. Even for here, maybe you can do something closer to the character, like that.
One thing I really like about this part here is this sort of connective tissue that you have. And I feel like I want to see the same thing here. I feel like that would actually help a lot with kind of like connecting those elements together. Just because, yeah, this definitely feels like my sphere and then my projectile and then my impact. I think it would just make it a little more cohesive.
Yeah, I think you would really want that same kind of element where it's pushing back, and like maybe it's more, it's more back here, so it's being motivated by like the energy coming off of this like energy ball, for lack of a better word, and not like I don't think you really, because the point of, or the source of the energy is from the middle. It's not like coalescing into the beam. So like definitely author it so it's still coming off. I think on the they look like ice cubes to me. I think having a little bit of color variation, value variation would be nice. They're all very uniform and kind of flat too. So maybe like up the emissive on them a little bit. and also just kind of vary their base color a little bit. I think there's always room to add more for something so stylized when the particles are falling. I think like maybe they like twinkle when they collide or something. That could always be a nice little easy win.
Yeah, there is also a part that you might need to remove. This one here. This, I don't think this circle like help you sell the effect, because what you're trying to do is mostly look at the hand of the character, because this is where the power comes from. And everything on the ground is secondary, but doesn't serve anything. I think you can replace that by having smoke effects, if you want, that are going backward like that, and try to help sell the fact that this source over here is casting a lot of energy, and then release.
Yeah, I think or that, or like some swirl meshes,
Yeah.
like into the hand can always be a good thing. I also noticed while you were talking about that, Joan, the orb here is like a lot less emissive than it is when it's actually firing. There's a lot of like room in your values to really crank that up before you get to here.
I would take a look as well at these kind of swipey meshes. I think they look pretty in isolation, but if they're supposed to be sort of like wind gusts or swoosh lines or something like that, I wouldn't expect them to actually move with the hands the entire thing. In those instances, usually I'll take the animation and author like a pre-authored swipe mesh that encompasses the entirety of like the hand swirling around, and then roll a texture along that matches up with the animation. That way you don't have like the giant moving cylinder going along with the hands, which makes it feel way less organic.
Yeah. Be careful with like local space and wall space. Here we can clearly see that this box is local, meaning following your hand. I think everything could be wall space here.
Yeah.
You could even try ribbons as well.
Yeah.
The thing that we all want to try, and we want it to work, and then it never does, and the author mesh,
Oh, cool! I don't have to author the mesh. Click the ribbon button. Crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Destroyed. Yeah.
I think there's or were you gonna say something, Joan?
No, go for it. Sorry.
Actually, I'm gonna change my point that I was about to make. I actually just noticed there's these like secondary rings being formed, and I think your camera angle is doing you no favors there. So like, if this is the camera angle you want to present at, I would just take those out, because they're like pixel thin. But the point I was originally going to make is there's like you really want to be careful about authoring your motion on how these wind gusts, or whatever we're calling them, are actually forming. They're kind of just like popping in as like a shape, and the shape isn't following the line of motion of where it ends up going. So you get this weird like blunt shape that's going this way, when you would really want like, you want your leading point to kind of follow where it's going, and then have kind of a tapered swipe, kind of like that.
I did not saw it at first, but I think the little particles here are also local and attached to the character. It's super hard to see, but I think when he rotates like that, they also move together. This can be like also wall space. And also for this shape here, I'm pretty sure what you have is something like this, and you drew like the texture being horizontal, but I think you can do vertical instead. It will help having kind of like a strands like this that are like following the character, instead of having something horizontal like this. You can still keep it, but like make it less prominent,
Yeah, I think I think authoring your shapes, especially as someone who's like going towards a really stylized look, um, will do you a lot of favors. Like this shape with all these little V's, I feel like it's trying to be a snowflake kind of inspired effect. Um, I would suggest maybe authoring something that's a little bit more handcrafted. Um, that feels kind of at a more of like a block in phase to me than a finished piece.
Should we keep it moving, guys?
Yeah, that's it.
And we have 4 different effects here.
Yeah.
So without even talking about effect, I think the first thing I'm saying here is the timing with the projectile. It's a bit linear from here to here. I think you need to speed up at least the beginning to be like super fast, and then here you have like a bigger gap, something like that. Because you can see that it's going and then stop instead of doing and then up at the end it explodes.
I think with projectiles, depending on like how fast they go, I would expect their trajectory to change a little bit too. Something slow moving, I would almost imagine like a softball, where it would start being affected by gravity and it would dip a little bit. So if you are going to have slow moving stuff, I would recommend giving it some sense of gravity. Otherwise, like I would speed up your projectiles 200%.
Yeah.
Like they would be on screen a few frames, just to really help make things feel a little more impactful.
Yeah, this and like we said earlier, lingering effect. You need lingering effect. Here we can just see 2 parts. You have the trail, you have the ball, but you don't have anything to sell the effect right here that stays after the impact. So right now when the effect reaches this position, you need a long trail like that is at least dissolving over time and also moving over time. For example, it can move like this, and then as it dissolves, it can be like that until it reaches like a line.
Yeah, like some little bit of smoke or something.
Yeah.
Following. Yeah, I want to echo the projectile speed as well. I want to say it's in like WoW that I've seen it done where like they will if a projectile is slow, it's really slow, and like it crawls, but then it also is like it's acting as it's like its own centrifugal force and like pulling in like magma and then it's like dripping stuff. So it's really intentional. So I would really crank the speed up on these.
Yeah. You don't even have to maybe retake the textures. For example, this here, stay always the same one. So if it's a circle like this, just stretch it. Like do this, and then at the middle it will be more like this, and then here, and at the end it will look like a round like this.
Yep.
But just stretching textures will help you like getting more like impactness into like your animation. Even when I see this one, for example, this you can clearly see it's a ball from start to end. Just stretch this as much as possible, and then make it like a ball at the end.
One thing I would recommend too is picking a cohesive style for this one. There's some really, really stylized graphic elements in this. And then there's some really sort of noisy, realistic looking stuff that's clearly from like simulation or Imogen or something like that. I would sort of pick one and lean into it. If it's somewhere in the middle, lean into the middle. But try to stay away from like the extremes of both sides in like one particular set of effects. Because this explosion to me looks like it would be from a completely different game than like this element. This has a very, riot type feel to it, whereas this one has almost like a Call of Duty type feel to it.
Yes. if you want to learn how to make a cool stylized smoke, you can check Gregory Oliveira, someone from VFX. So I can send a
Nice
link to
plug.
that.
Yeah, nice plug. Not wrong. Nice plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has some really cool and simple techniques to make VFX like that.
If we're plugging, we also should plug if you want to learn how to make a great grenade explosion and you've never touched Unreal before. Beyond FX has a great course called "Learn with Us: First Playable Grenade Explosion" on our YouTube channel.
There you go.
Perfect.
There
Can
you
learn
go.
with Julian. Yeah. I think it'd be cool too to see a little more, maybe a little more difference in everything for the different sort of tiers that you have in here. Like it looks like things scale up a little bit between the first and the second one, and then the third one's a completely different effect. I'm saying this right? Like we're missing
Yeah.
sort of the ring on this one. This one's just gonna look like a bomb just went off, as opposed to like an impact of something. These two both have the ring. Scales up. I think they just all need to share the similar thing, so they feel like they're sort of part of the same kit. Same with sort of like I don't even know what we call it, the cast or the muzzle flash for the thing. It feels a little uninspired right now. I think it could be more interesting with some more shapes, some more elements. I think like what Joan said, some lingering stuff that can happen after it bursts. Maybe we have a few particles trailing off or a little bit of lingering smoke. But amping the intensity up a little bit more, just like size, color, shapes on that thing, I think would help it feel a lot better too. Combining that with speeding up the projectile, I think would help.
Do a gentle nudge to get to the next, move to the next one.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I have a good reference for this one. I'll send it.
The smoke is a really cool flip book, but your staging is kind of murdering it. Value-wise, it's really hard to see the actual shapes. So I would just, if you want this scene, I would just darken this smoke to like a 75% gray. That'll make it a lot more readable.
I think presentation-wise too, and I know we're chatting VFX and not lighting, but you've added a light here, so let's talk about it. Try to watch out for like this stuff, this very clear point light placed in here. If you want to have it hot, that's fine, but try to soften this edge out a little bit. You could probably even dim it down for this a lot as well, just to Tess's point too, just to actually showcase your work a little bit more and make things a little easier to see.
Yeah, I think I would rather see it motivated by the actual light in the scene.
As for the smoke effect you have, I think it's missing a little bit of colors coming from the flame. Here it's super white, here too. You don't even need to add this giant light, just something smaller, but then make it colorful for the smoke.
Yeah, I think you can do the classic like, if it's dark gray, you can start it with you can do like a color over life where it's like a little orange at the start, and then it darkens up as it goes up. I also I like the procedural flame, but the noise and everything is the exact same for the inner and outer shapes. So getting variation there will help it feel a little less procedural.
Yeah, the flip book looks nice. It's smooth and it's well done. I think it just needs some tweaks.
Not to super rush you guys, but if we move into the next portfolio, we'll be like right on time. We'll be like right on schedule. So maybe like any last thoughts on this one, and then we'll shift over.
I just sent a reference from Simon Tripp, so I think Julian, you can do that. So Simon Tripp, he made a lot of fire looking like that for some games, indie games. So you can check that, and you will have like a lot of information on how to improve that.
Is it the Ryan GDC talk?
It's on his website actually.
Nice. Okay, we just populated that link in chat right now.
Cool.
Nice. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Michael. And again, if you're just joining us and you missed part of the stream earlier, this will be on our YouTube channel later on in the week. And also, I saw some people saying, how can they submit their portfolios to potentially be reviewed? We open up the submissions about a month before going live. So stay tuned to our social media. We do some pretty heavy promotion about when the applications open around a month before we go live. So you can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of the usual platforms for those announcements. But our next candidate goes by Morad. They are a Unity developer and VFX artist. They describe themselves as mid-level with experience creating gameplay VFX, shaders, and interactive systems. They specialize mainly in stylized real-time VFX such as particle systems, anime-inspired combat effects, shaders, UI effects, and procedural materials. Their dream would be work on a stylized action RPG or anime-inspired game, and games similar to the Final Fantasy genre. And the feedback that they are looking for is, they said the one challenge they're currently working on is finding the right balance between strong visual intensity and gameplay clarity.
Speaking my language.
We're also going to hide our camera feed in between, like just so that you guys are in the focus. So if you don't see us, don't panic. We're here.
We're here.
Just real quick, I need to step away just for 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Sure. Okay.
So I can start by saying like this is already super satisfying, either like in terms of colors or in terms of like animation. The way everything cast, happen and dissipate is very good.
Yeah, I think there's room to make it snappier in some of these. Just because you mentioned like something like Genshin, take a look at how much they exaggerate their timing and like scale of effects and things like that to really sell these. You know, when this thing pops, like really amp it up, like really spike up at timing, and then go down. That'll help this feel a lot snappier. And then I think getting a little bit more color into this, both saturation wise and kind of hue variation wise, would really help you. Everything's kind of the same teal greeny tint of green, so I think I think some variation there would really help.
Yeah, also I think I'm seeing like 4 different effects. So you have the charging here. You have something happening on screen that is here. I don't think this one is cool, but I don't think it serves what you have on the targets. Maybe you can remove this one to have more focus on what you're trying to show. And then when you cast something on the character, you have a first impact, that is this one, with all of the stripes. Then you have a second impact, and then you have, okay, you don't have a third one. Maybe try to be less impactful here on the first one, because the cast is not even there, it's not on the target yet. You have something, but nothing happened. What you can start doing is let your stuff on the ground coming, then you have this one, and then at the end, because you have nothing, you can use the stripes to break everything.
Yeah. I think there's just like maybe an opportunity to get some sort of different visual language for the caster on the hand. Having it just kind of echo the same exact language makes it feel a little repetitive, especially here where everything's overlapping and you're getting all this like overdraw. Maybe adding or like authoring some sort of other language would help individualize those parts.
Yeah. Also, I am wondering if what we see on the ground is decals. I don't think it is. I feel like it's a mesh. This one, the circle, because a decal will be like showing a little bit of variation in terms of heights.
Yeah.
And also of textures behind the super bright texture we have. Either way, if it's a decal, I would love to see like more like variation of texturing, because right now it feels like something was placed on top of the ground instead of being merged with the ground.
Yeah, and I think doing a little bit more of a handcrafted texture in the ring that's forming, both like kind of at its initial point and while it forms. I think just getting a little bit more intentional shape language would really help you, because it's kind of just a gradient fall off where you get like some amount of noise, some bit, just a bit more magic and less like placeholdery feeling to it. It would really help.
Sorry if you guys went over this while I had to step away, but for the stuff on the ground, I was wondering if it's possible to make where's the brush? There we go. All of these separate elements that you could then animate separately. So when you have pulses and things radiating around, they can kind of bounce and dance, scale up, scale in, like come together and move apart. Again, apologies if this was already talked about, but I think
Nope.
there's a lot of cool elements in here, and I just want to see more stuff moving. Like these rings spinning even slightly, I think would add a ton. Just internal stuff bouncing and jittering around.
Yeah. In terms of readability, also like be careful of reusing the shapes. Here you have twice the numbers on the ground. You have one on the center, and then you have one that appear here that is overlapping the first one to reach this position. It's not really helping to read what's happening on the ground.
Is it inverted too?
It is, yep. Yeah, I didn't notice that. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to compliment. I really like the particles that are like just the shape language of the particles being used here. It feels like time inspired or like almost cosmic-y. Yeah, they're really cool. So I think that's where you want to spend a lot of your time. Like it feels very intentional to your theme, and just doing more with that will be great.
Yeah. And one thing, try to avoid having hard edges. I can see one here when you dissolve. I can see one on the circle when it's right here. It looks like a hard shape too. You have this one. I think this one is a bit faded, so it's okay. But try to avoid this type of thing. And then even on the sphere here, you can also like. It's looking good on the right side, right here, but it's super hard here too.
Yeah, I do. On the particles themselves, I think the more celestial time ones are more successful when they're slower, like with a lot of ease out. When it's a big burst, like right here, I think this gets quite noisy. So maybe less is more here with those shapes, and then like let the let the kind of the outro here, like this is a really nice fade off. So like more of that, and let that kind of dictate how you author your timing. Cool.
Have you guys talked about the post process at all?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
But basically, it's not serving the main effect, and probably just better to remove it for staging purposes.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, let's keep moving.
Moving. Nice.
We were just popping in to say that, but now
Yep.
we'll go away again.
It read our minds.
I'd say just time check would be maybe like another 10 minutes for this portfolio, if that is okay. I know it's a little bit crunchy, but want to make sure we have the same amount of time for the last one.
Sure.
Before we really dive into this, I've noticed this on a couple of the other portfolios that we've had too. Don't bother adding music, because we're just muted anyways. So I just wanted to call that out. Anyways, carry on.
Yeah, like it's such a regular thing to keep it muted and focus on the art anyway. I'm like, there's music in these. This is cool.
Yeah, this is cool. The first thing I'm noticing is just like the quality of textures, super pixelated, mostly for the lightnings. Try to avoid that, increase that a lot. Because if you compare it to the slash that is super like neat, and then the smoke, the lightnings are like underselling the effect right now.
I'd watch out too for this sort of persistent element you have on your character. There's this kind of purpley green smoky haze that's just attached with like a texture scrolling up it. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. Maybe he has some aura or something like that, but I think making it a little more believably attached to the character would help a lot, especially if it's supposed to be sort of like a smoky ethereal element, not like a backpack or something like that. Having it wrap around his limbs or just like sort more interestingly with his mesh would help a lot.
We do have another case of flash frame, but this time it's made by a shader. I will put this one only when you have an impact.
Yeah.
You have
Like
one,
right there.
2,
Yeah.
3. Maybe you can do even three different one, but here it doesn't serve anything because the sword is still in the air right here. And
Yeah.
then you have the impact, and then it's good. I think it's the timing is a bit missing here.
Yeah, I think this feels very anime Studio Trigger inspired. So I think the cool thing to do here is like boom, the sword comes down, then you get these stars that you got here, like sword, stars flicker, then like impact frame explosion. And that kind of that timing beat order would be great. I do want to keep it moving, but just on the lightning flip books, I think getting a little bit thinner shapes and more erratic timing would be good. Like there's kind of some like linear scaling things that happen, and I don't think you need that. I would honestly make them twice as fast and a little bit more emissive.
Yeah, and for the smoke effect, I can see two different smoke. This one looks more realistic than the one that you have behind the feet here.
Yeah.
So maybe get rid of one. It's cool to have something here, but I think it should like fit the theme of like, do you go realistic or do you go stylized?
I think you can have this like hybrid, but I think it needs to be motivated by the effect. So maybe if it's like a nice dark blue, like it's like almost in this range.
Yeah.
Where it's a very like third read almost, then it's like fine to kind of root it. But yeah. But in the interest of time, let's keep it rolling.
Ooh. Wow.
This reminds me of Wuthering Waves stuff quite a bit. Really like the material authoring here. Cool.
Yeah, looks good. There seems to be like a bias of your darker element always sticking to the left. I keep wanting to see it wrapping around the entire shape. Maybe it's just the directionality of the scroll causing illusions, but
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a camera fade, and that's like off center a little bit or something.
yeah.
Because I've done that on this kind of effect. I do feel like the tornado should be spinning the other way.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
classic easy
because of the
mistake.
direction of the
Yeah.
shape. Yeah. The shape is going downward, and the tornado is going the other way.
I think you could do a little less of the outer swirlies. Um, they're like they're fine shapes, but I think you could just edit yourself a little bit, and it would make the tornado, which is like the tornado and the ground cracks, like are really cool too. I think just giving yourself a little bit more clarity in this case would be really helpful.
I honestly wonder if you could remove this vertical stuff coming up here too.
I think they're cool, but
Yeah. I was actually going to say the opposite, Tess. I was going to say
Yeah.
keep the swirly things, remove
Yeah.
the vertical things. But
there you go.
You
I am
can,
older, I guess.
yeah, maybe you can add like cracks on the ground that are like super bright, and then make them coming out of that. I don't know,
Yeah.
to help sell the effect. I'm noticing. I think there's a bug where the placement of the effect is wrong in terms of the camera, because we can see the tornado here, but this shape here, this cone, is always misplaced. It's always like never centered. When you check, for example, this is hard to see, but I'm pretty sure that this is here and the tornado is here. Every time. So what happened, I think, is that the mesh is supposed to be like this, like like that, but it's camera facing, so the mesh appear like this all the time,
Me.
because we cannot see what's happening behind. So maybe there is a smooth step or something to fade the edges, but then and then we don't see what happened behind. But I feel like it's camera facing all the time.
Yeah. I'm gonna call out. I think the stars that are persisting, like the really graphic anime stars, like these, I think could be varied in size a little bit more, and just lifetime. They're all very uniform. I like how graphic they are, but I think just giving a little more variation would be great. And I love this orange that happens right for like one frame. Yeah, I love that orange. It feels like such an unexpected color, and there's like a little bit of that yellow hue represented in the tornado, and I think that's really great and successful.
Yeah. And one thing for the lingering effect, you only have this part, the cone, staying. I think you can also use the tornado.
Yeah.
You remove everything, every color, every shape, but just keep like a tornado that is kind of like same color as the shape that you have on the ground.
I think it might even be as easy as staggering when things go off screen a little bit more from like the actual tornado shape itself.
Yeah. We do need to keep it moving, so let's go ahead and hop to the last one here. It's cool. I feel like this is another case of not needing the screen border
Yeah.
post process. I think the darkening is cool, like the screen darkening is cool, but I don't think you need these at all.
Yeah. And again, be careful with the textures; they are pixelated. This one here. all of this is super pixelated.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like your sort of like windy elements, you could probably be a little more snappy with those. Like I would maybe recommend getting rid of this thing after only a few frames. This big, it's a big old giant chunk of mesh that takes up a lot of screen space, and we get a disconnect really, really fast. And I feel like it loses some of that impactfulness that you're going for when it lingers on screen for a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this time, good use of the flash frame. It's well placed.
Yeah, I think on these kind of initial textures, these shapes are very repetitive to me. They're all kind of tiled the same. All these hooks happen at roughly the same spot. So getting a little more variation here, both in like width and shape and offset, will really help. I think this one is probably like the most successful, where like you're fusing these shapes into one bigger shape. So doing more of that to where like they vary, and they're not just these like individual mesh strands.
Yeah,
Will really help.
I think the way they appear to, like, it seems that it's 3, 2, and then the rest.
Yeah.
Instead of having maybe this one coming at 1, this one 2, this one 3, this one 4, and then all of them at a separate timing. I mean, timing in terms of how you move the UV, because the way you spawn them is that you go from 0 to 100, instead of having this UV scroll inside your mesh.
Yeah. Yeah, the smoke here in particular, you can really see how jagged that texture is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe their textures are too small, or if they're like mipped down really hard, or maybe the smooth step is too strong. Those are a couple spots to look.
And also one thing, since you're in the anime theme, I think what you can do when your character is like fighting, for example, for the leg, you do that already. This stripe here, you can use that a little bit more, but like do tiny one that are like following the same color as your character. So if you see orange, do orange stripe. If you see gray, you do gray stripe. If you see a shadow here, do black one. Stuff like that. That will help sell the movement.
Yeah, look at 2XKO for that kind of stuff.
They use that a lot in movies too, like Spider-Man, for example.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we had to kind of rush at the end there, but if we producers in the chat, and we need to keep it rolling out.
Yeah, we do. I mean, unless do you guys have like a hard out at 1 p.m. or?
I do. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Because I was gonna say if one of you had like a little bit of extra time, we could keep going, but it's all up to you guys. So
I have a little bit of extra time. If nobody else.
We'll jump to the next
Yeah.
portfolio. The next
Yeah.
portfolio is our last one, so we'll do what we can, and then
Yeah.
when you need to leave, you leave, and then we can wrap it up.
Cool.
yeah. So
Murad.
thanks, Murad. Do you wanna? Oh, you got it. Okay. So our next artist is Yuri. They're a freelance VFX artist, mainly working in Unity, Unreal, and Houdini, and they want to hear all of your raw feedback.
Just is your stuff not playing?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it play on my end either. Let's see.
Yeah,
Let's try.
There we go.
Is that doing it?
is
Uh,
A little bit.
it's a little
getting there.
choppy.
It might Clash just might need to buffer a little bit. It's been a little choppy.
Yeah, it's okay on my end, but
Let me try again here. Okay, there we go. It seems to. There we go. I think now we're getting it.
Okay,
Cool.
nice.
yeah. Obvious call out here first is just the speed of the projectile. We kind of harped on it on one of the other portfolios, so I won't go super into it. Other than it just needs to be significantly faster and kind of like spawn more motivated by the hand. Like it's already spawning before the hand even gets here. Like it really shouldn't spawn until probably here. um, yeah, super early.
Yeah, I feel like this one you almost want to stop any material or texture related things, and just do like a holistic timing pass on the entire thing. Um, I noticed there's like a random swipe happening
Yep.
up here, out of nowhere, and then finding a way to get the projectile matching up more with the hand, even if it's just with like debug spheres or something like that. That way you know your effects, you attach them to the things, they'll play at the right time in the right place, before you spend a ton of time working with materials and textures and all that good stuff.
And again, like I said, for the first portfolio, don't use distortion to make your effect. Like this here, it's always what we see on every portfolio, because people tend to distort everything by 100, but don't do that. Even on the trail here, use shapes that you can draw by your by hand, or like use shaders, but never try to use distortion to hide everything and make it look like it's a fire.
Yeah, this one.
I think one thing to watch out for too is sort of like the relative speed of your projectile as it travels through space versus the relative speed of the interior parts of your texture. Um, right now, it feels like everything is moving together as opposed to a projectile head leaving trails behind or stuff being emitted from it that's kind of hanging out in world space. It has a very like everything's attached to one thing motion to it. I'm over here talking with my hands like anybody's actually watching my video, but yeah.
I see your hands.
And I'm curious if there's
Yeah, sorry.
a specific motivation for this element here that's sort of like pulling off of this guy.
Yeah.
Or if it's just a blur, like part of this blur effect that's just maybe going too far out. Can't tell.
It's kind of what it looks like.
There is something that juniors love to use when you do here. You have two type of distortion. You have the one that you place on the UV that distort the texture, but you have the one also that distort the screen. If you work on mobile games or Switch, if you do that, they will kill you. So it's called grab pass. Never use that. Okay, try it as much as possible to never use it. And if you are like on PC, PS5, or Xbox, you can do it, but be careful with that. Like go slowly.
Yeah. Very expensive.
Yeah.
I think too for this one, it's kind of getting back to like the overall art and shape too. I see this a lot, and we've talked about this in a couple other portfolio pieces, but projectile goes this way and we wind up with a big impact that just kind of goes outward and carries no motion from the impact. I'd like to see your impact effects sort of biased in a direction at least, instead of a gigantic radial circle. I'm sure there's gameplay reasons for that on all kinds of games, but for selling VFX in your portfolio, I think that's one of those little details that you always want to add.
We want to hop to the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Joel. Yeah, kind of the same notes where, like, we want the projectile to be motivated by some sort of motion, and not such a linear timing as it's traveling. Like it's a very constant traveling speed. Make it small, then zip it, so it's really stretched out, and then explode. Like really exaggerate your timing here. It's so linear.
I would
Yeah.
really recommend too, if you're going to be using characters with animations, finding animations that benefit your effect or enhance your effect. Um, the animation on that guy is doing you no favors
Yeah.
Yeah.
in presentation
Yeah.
here. Like in this case, if you wanted to showcase your effects, I would literally probably just remove the characters and have a
Yes.
cast out in space, a projectile that an impact against a wall or something.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Remove the characters here.
Yeah.
They don't serve you, um, and you don't have enough like timing to work with what you have here with the hand going forward. It's not enough. For the crystal, I'm noticing that it's apparently a mesh that has some highlights, so maybe speculars. What you can try to do is you take your crystal, okay, like this. You go on 3D software or something, and you break every single part in triangles, okay. And then when you have that, you place every triangle in your UV, like that, everywhere, random. You don't even need to attach them. And then you use a gradient, and then the gradient has to go from one color to another, so it can be red to blue, with like all of the range, different range. And then you just scroll the UV, and like this you will have plenty of range with the crystal, like doing crazy stuff. It can be like a lot of different blue that you can add to the crystal, and then you will have like more variation instead of just doing linear and just using the specular.
Yeah, it's a great tip overall. I think there's something cool here about just kind of the visual language. I think it needs more refinement overall. Like, I think there needs to be some sort of echo of how this is broken up, and then maybe we break up the silhouette so it's not such a neat circle. Um, so maybe having more of these shards and things like that, because like it's very like obviously crystalline, like ice inspired. But I think we could do more with the visual language. Then I'd be careful. I think the particles flying off here are like okay, but then you have this like second beat of smaller particles that fly up and then kind of fall straight down in a very linear fashion. Um, and so I'd be careful about those as well.
I think you might want to just spend a little more time thinking about the impact, because again, I can't tell exactly what's happening here, but like this feels like a camera facing quad
Yeah.
or mesh with like a shader on top of it, which isn't going to allow you much flexibility on doing anything interesting with it, unless you really want to go like hardcore into like some crazy shader setup. But layering, like not relying on one gigantic element and layering multiple elements together that can make this thing up, so you have the opportunity to move them at different speeds, separate them out, is where I would probably start with this one.
Yeah, I think this translated into like a three-dimensional cone of some kind, right? Would really be cool. Where it's like actually cascading across the character to kind of do that
Yeah.
reflection.
And again, to help the motion and everything, stretch your items. You have something that is like this, stretch it a lot like that first, and when it reaches the impact here, same for the impact. The impact feels too static. It's cool because it's growing, but then you hit a wall where you have like this. Just make it grow, and then when it reaches a certain position, you can put it back slowly, but it will help selling the effect.
Yeah, and I think also consider the element you're working with, in terms of you can theme your timing around it too. Where like I could see something crystalline like this where it's growing have really like staccato growth, right? Where it's like boom, boom, boom. It could be really interesting.
Yeah, there is a there is a video from Riot Games that explain animation, and they basically show how to make an explosion, and it's a super like useful tip to see, okay, how do I grow this from this point here to this point and then to the end, and you will see in like super simple way you can have something super satisfying.
Yeah.
I think it's called How to Make Games or something. You can check out on YouTube.
Let's hop to the next one.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Well, I definitely got the faster projectile in this
Yeah.
one, but I think we need just a little more separation between all the elements. I think it looks like everything fires off on the same frame.
Yeah. It's pretty fast.
Or is it that the projectile is immediately tethered to the, I guess, the enemy?
Yeah, I think the projectile, it's also traveling backwards.
Right, yep.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just a little too fast, and you need, we've said it a million times here, you need more like lingering effects happening, both for like time for the projectile to read as well as kind of the aftermath of the impact. I really like this kind of like hot pink that's living within the kind of the purple shadows. I think like this is a cool frame. And I think having that smoke with the pink linger a bit longer, linger maybe has, some curl noise or something. I think that could be really nice aftermath. So I would really encourage that.
In terms of timing, be careful too, because it's super hard to see when we do slow motion, but you have one here, and then you have, if you go further right now here, you have a second one. It's kind of like you have two explosions at one. You see here this one growing, so it's like in real time it looks like boom boom instead of one explosion.
I would kind of want to see like a, I guess once the projectile is pointed in the right direction, it's sort of like a beefier, easier to read trail for this thing. Just because like what it kicks off as almost like firework, but it's this really thin, sinewy line that's actually a little difficult to pick out, especially against this checkerboard down here.
It feels almost spectral.
Yeah. Like I would actually really like to see some more of like the coloration you have in this part of the effect, like the soft, smoky, like dark, smoky stuff, maybe like lit with something in the actual projectile itself.
Yeah.
So you would see like, something with like a nice hot head with like kind of like tenderly darker smoke wrapping off of it. I feel like that would fit a little better with sort of like the theme that you have here.
Yeah, and same note on the distortion. This is so much, way too much distortion overall.
Real quick, by the way, Nick, I know you said you had a hard out at 1. I don't know if you need to bounce right now and you want just Tess and Joan to continue, or did you have a few minutes to stick around? It's up to you.
I could probably do like 5 minutes.
Okay.
And that's fine. Then I should probably do it. So
Gotcha. Okay, go for it.
there's one more. So yes.
Oh, this is super different. I think in terms of a portfolio, I think this is a very different presentation, and I would suggest making it separate in some capacity. Like it feels like you're applying for a completely different game with a completely different art style. So definitely think about like who you're applying to.
I think the pretty obvious thing here is just making sure your sword trails are connected to the animation of the sword. There's a lot of kind of just floating bits that aren't particularly motivated by the animation of the character.
Yeah, and quite literally what you said already, Nick, where like even if they're disconnected, make them follow the path of the blade. Like the blade's here for maybe a frame, and then kind of kicks back, and then this is still scrolling and rotating.
Yeah, and in terms of motion, it feels like the effects appear and is already there. I think in yes, okay. In your gradients, if you draw something, it feels like the slash is here and then is here. So basically, you don't have anything when you move the UV in between. Like the slash is already at 100% instead of being maybe all of these cuts, and then this is moving to reach this position and then come out.
Yeah,
the only
you
thing
really
you have is a dissolve.
yeah, you really want like if your ring mesh has the texture on it that's making out the swipe, you want kind of like your swipe shape, but then you want a mask kind of at the front. Oh, it's like impossible to see. You really want like a mask that's also kind of like taking a bite out of the front as like your leading edge, so you can author that as well to like a different shape. So you're not relying on just translucency to do everything. Like you want multiple things kind of happening in unison to really author this more successfully. I'm not sure if you're doing the environmental effects here or not. If you are, I think these like beams of light or whatever they're supposed to be are like, they're not moving in the direction of their motion at all. You know, like they're almost moving at like a complete opposite of what their motion is saying they should. So I just be really careful with that kind of thing. And also I would probably make them additive in terms of blending. Like you can really see kind of in the edges, there's like a halo of kind of dark that makes them feel less like light shafts and more just like almost like gray lines.
There's a trick you can do with the slash to make them a bit better. So let me draw. Here, if you have, it seems like that you have the slash that is kind of like this, but you have kind of like three on top. So you have 1, 2, 3. One is black, one is blue, one is purple, and then they dissolve. So basically from 1 to 3, what you can do is you draw a slash that looks like this, okay? And then you separate this one in 3 parts. This part will be white, this part will be gray, and this part will be black. And then you make the dissolve go from 3 to 1, and it will help you dissolve everything in like a satisfying way. And then if you use a smooth step on top of that, you can have like something that is really clean.
It's a good tip.
Joan with the killer tips today. Crushing it.
He's crushing it.
Yeah.
You guys are all doing great, by the way. It just
Yeah. By the way,
we have Dan in chat who's frequently commented the taking notes emoji every time Joan has said
Yes.
something.
I do have a reference for that, but I don't know if I can send it because it's a bunch of PNG and GIF. So
But yeah, I think we're done here. I think we did.
Yes, our which is perfect because our screen share just crashed again. So
oh man, okay, all right, yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, Anna says, was that a ghostly Julian from nowhere? Yeah, Julian's sitting right here. I was just gonna close out the show really quick. No, Nick, I know you need to go, so I just
I
wanted
actually
to.
don't have to go very quick.
Oh, okay.
My meeting got canceled, so here I am.
Oh, hey, okay, all right, cool. So, yeah, if you are just joining us and you missed the beginning of this stream, this video is going to be on demand on our YouTube channel later on in the week. So you'll be able to catch everything that Nick, Joan, and Tess had said. If you weren't chosen for this round of our portfolio review, I hope you found some valuable information in the feedback that was given regardless. And for those of you who missed the submission window, we are going to be doing an episode 3. We don't have a date just yet, but these submissions will open about a month before we go live. So please pay attention to our social media channels. We are on Twitter. It's beyond_FX. We're on Instagram. Our LinkedIn is beyond-FX. We are always posting content there, and we'll make that announcement soon. And also, if you were looking for other educational content, you can check out our YouTube page. We have things like quick tips, which are short form, 60-second educational content that show like a simple tip or a trick for your VFX. Our level ups, which is medium form content for intermediate level artists who already have experience using the game engine but want to learn how to create a specific effect. For those of you who are brand new to VFX, we have our VFX U series, which is first playable grenade explosion in Unreal, where we take you from downloading Unreal to making your first playable grenade explosion effect with Julian over here as our pupil. There he is. And then we actually have our VFXU Spotlight sessions, which are our educational presentations from our artists that have presented their talks at industry events like GDC or meetups. And those range everywhere from beginner level to advanced level knowledge. So, but yeah, with that note, oh, and thank you so much to our chat. I want to give a big thank you to our chat, everyone asking questions, giving their feedback. I really love how we can kind of put your comments here.
Yeah, that rules.
Up on the screen. So keep those comments coming.
And
but
shout out to our. Did we shout out our hosts?
I was about to.
Okay, yeah. It's like,
I was getting to that.
okay,
Joanne.
sorry. I jumped the gun. The ghost jumped the gun.
Classic .05, Julian.
But yes, I did want to give a giant thank you to our 3 hosts, Nick, Joan, Tess. Thank you for joining us again. That was some really amazing feedback, valuable insight. I feel like I learned something, and I don't even do VFX, and I was very entertained by what you all were saying. So glad we could do this again. Oh, and thank you, Dan, for posting the BFXU link in chat. Again,
Yeah.
wow, Julian.
Yeah, Jess and I were back here like off screen every time you guys said something. We were like, "Wow, that's such a good
like,
tip.
wow,
That's so
okay."
smart. That's such a cool thing." I'm gonna throw one more thing in there that I don't know if we've said previously on stream, but if you are one of the people whose portfolio we reviewed and you make any updates to your effect based on the feedback from our wonderfully talented artists here, you should post it and tag us in it. We'd love to see like side by side of like the before and then if you made some changes and made some updates. It'd be really cool to see that.
To see it. That is a fantastic idea. Yes, please do. Please tag us on Twitter. We would love to see that. But I guess on that note, again, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you to our hosts. Thank you, Julian. And we will see you next time. Stay tuned to our socials for our next portfolio review live stream. Until then.